Snow fell gently over New Seattle, coating the hybrid rooftops half-Earth design, half-alien architecture in a soft white glow. Christmas lights flickered from every balcony, and the sky itself shimmered with faint purple streaks as the orbital auroras shifted overhead. Thyron pulled her wool-lined hood lower over her ears. It didn't help much. The ears were too sharp, too tall, and far too furry to hide properly. She kept her tail wrapped tight around her waist like a belt, something all off-worlders did when they didn't want attention. But attention always came. Humans called her species werewolves, though they hated the term. The Rushdie were warriors, diplomats, scholars, just a race with fur, claws, and a very inconvenient resemblance to old Earth folklore. Tonight, however, Diren wasn't a warrior or diplomat. She was just a woman on a date. Or she had been. Her breath formed clouds of fog as she leaned against the hollow lamppost. The snow around her boots sparkled silver in the neon glow. Her heart felt heavier than her winter coat. He hadn't even lasted 5 minutes. Her dater, human man she'd been chatting with for weeks, had gone pale when he saw her in person. Online, she kept her Holovata in humanized mode, her species traits slightly softened for comfort. She showed her real self tonight. He panicked. He muttered something about misleading appearances, apologized to the point it hurt, and left her at the cafe with 2 untouched mugs of steaming cocoa. Now she stood alone on Christmas Eve, trying not to cry. Rushdie warriors weren't supposed to cry. But Thyron wasn't a warrior today. Not really. She was lonely. Deeply, painfully lonely. Every Christmas, she'd watch humans laughing and hugging, families reuniting, couples kissing under mistletoe. Her own people didn't celebrate the holiday, but she adored Ithalites, the warmth, the way humans cared for each other. She just never got to be part of it. She was about to leave when she felt a tug on her sleeve, a very gentle, very small tug. Thyron turned. A little human girl in a bright red coat stood there, big brown eyes staring up at her with a confidence far larger than her tiny body. She couldn't be older than 7 or 8. Her pink knitted hat was slightly crooked. "Excuse me," the girl said seriously. "Can we talk?" Thyron blinked. "Me? Yes, please." The girl nodded like she was addressing a dignitary. "You look like you need it." Broke something inside Thyron in a way she didn't expect. "Suppose so," she murmured softly. "Good." The girl grabbed her gloved hand, her claws carefully retracted, and pulled her toward a nearby bench under a glowing hollow tree decorated with shimmering light orbs. They sat. The girl kicked her boots lightly in the snow before speaking. "Again, my name is Miri. I'm out with my uncle, but he's busy buying something secret." She lowered her voice. "Christmas stuff." Thyron managed a tiny smile. "I see. My name is Thyron." Miri examined her carefully. Not with fear, not with disgust, just pure curiosity. "Why were you sad?" Miri finally asked. "You're really pretty, like a snow wolf from the horror stories." Thyron's throat tightened. Pretty. She had never been called that by a human before. She took a shaky breath. "I was supposed to have a Christmas date tonight. It's you." Miri nodded with sage seriousness. "Did he not show up?" "He came," Thyron said quietly. "But he left when he saw me. Sometimes humans aren't comfortable around people who look like me." Miri frowned so hard, her tiny face scrunched into a grumpy raisin. That's stupid. Thyron actually laughed. A soft, warm sound she hadn't felt inside her chest in too long. Maybe he was scared. Miri continued. But being scared doesn't mean you should be mean. No, Thyron whispered. It doesn't. Miri suddenly hopped off the bench and stood in front of her. She placed both hands on her hips. Come with me. What? Why? Because... Miri puffed her cheeks. It's Christmas. And Christmas means nobody gets to be alone. Thyron hesitated. Miri, you don't even know me. I know you're sad. I know you didn't do anything wrong. I know you look like someone who gives very good hugs. Thyron's eyes widened. How? You're fluffy. Miri shrugged like it was the most obvious thing in the universe. Before Thyron could protest, Miri grabbed her hand again and practically dragged her toward a nearby toy shop where a tall man stood outside with a big gift bag. Uncle Jace. Miri yelled. We're adopting her for Christmas. The man jerked around, startled. He was a human in his 30s, wearing a long coat and a beanie. Handsome, athletic, and with a surprised expression that quickly softened when he saw Thyron standing behind Miri, looking like she wanted to sink into the snow. Miri, Jace said carefully, we can't just adopt strangers, just for Christmas. Miri insisted. She's alone, and she's nice, and someone was mean to her. Jace's gaze shifted to Thyron, who looked away quickly. He recognized that posture, that bruise on the spirit. Is that true? He asked gently. Someone hurt you tonight. Thyron didn't answer with words. Her silence did it for her. A seer let out a slow breath. Well, we can't let that be the end of your night, can we? Miri beamed triumphantly. Jace extended his gloved hand. Would you like to spend Christmas Eve with us? You don't have to stay long. Just join us for cocoa and walking around town. No pressure. Thyron stared. Humans had rejected her for years, children avoiding her, adults whispering. The occasional brave soul who tried to be kind but never fully accepted her. But here stood a man who looked at her like she was normal, not a monster, not a mistake, just someone who deserved warmth. Her voice came out faint. I would like that. Very much. The night changed everything soon. They were walking through the streets. Miri holding Thyron's clawed hand like it was the most natural thing. Jace walking beside them with a quiet smile. They drank hot cocoa from a street vendor. Miri insisted. Thyron, try marshmallows. She loved them. They watched a choir of mixed-species singers perform. Thyron's tail slowly unwrapped from her waist, twitching with hesitant happiness at one point. Miri tugged her down to whisper, You're way prettier when you smile. Thyron nearly melted into the snow. But the moment that truly broke her was when they passed a group of kids building a snow fort. They stared at Herwood, unsure. Then Miri shouted, She's with us. She's part of our Christmas mission. The kids cheered like that was the coolest thing ever. For the first time in her life, humans welcomed her, not as an alien, not as a threat, but as a friend. The final moment when they reached the giant Christmas tree in Central Square. Jace looked at Thyron carefully. You know, he said softly, Miri was right. About what? Thyron asked. You do look like someone who gives good hugs. Thyron froze. Jace stepped closer, not afraid, not hesitating, and gently asked, May I? Her answer was a small, trembling nod, and for the first time in her life, Thyron felt a human's arms wrap around her without fear. She wrapped her arms around him, careful with her claws, her heart pounding like a drum. See, Mary said proudly, best Christmas ever. Thyron laughed through tears. Yes, she whispered. The best epilogue, HFY. Moment later, that night, as snow fell softly on the trio, walking home, Jace looked at Thurin. You know, if you're ever up for another date knot, the awful kind you had tonight, maybe we could try again, properly. Thyron's ears shot straight up. A date with me. With you, Jace said softly. The bravest woman I've met. Mary pumped her fist. I shipped this. Thyron covered her face, her fur turning a deep, embarrassed silver. But she nodded. Humans weren't perfect, but sometimes they were extraordinary. That Christmas, a rejected alien werewolf woman found something she never expected: a human family who wanted her, and a human man who saw her heart. Asterisk.